This week, we welcome Noam Krasniansky, founder of Komposite Blockchain, to discuss the counterfeit problem, how blockchain is revolutionizing brand protection. In the leadership and communication segment, CISO versus CIO, where security and IT leadership clash and how to fix it. The CISO's bookshelf, 10 must-reads for security leaders. Leaders can move fast and fix things, and more. Business Security Weekly starts now.
This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network.
It's the show where we explore the business of security to improve the security of business. Your trusted source for actionable insights on leadership, communication, and innovation. Get ready for Business Security Weekly.
Not all vulnerabilities are the same. A critical vulnerability on a marketing laptop isn't the same risk as a critical vulnerability on a production server accessed by a domain admin missing EDR. Sevco Security shows you these interconnected risks. Sevco centralizes intelligence on all your devices, identities, software, vulnerabilities, and security controls, enriching them with threat intelligence and business context in real time, so your security team has exactly what it needs to effectively prioritize and remediate vulnerabilities based on the unique requirements of your business. Think of it as a to-do list for risks, but less annoying. Find a smarter way to manage exposures. Visit securityweekly.com/Sevco today.
Welcome to Business Security Weekly. This is episode number 386, recorded March 10th, 2025. I am your host, Matt Alderman. Joining me for this interview segment are my co-hosts. First, Mr. Jason Albuquerque. Hey, Jason.
Hey, Matt. Hey, we've officially got into the NFL free agency as of today. Cybersecurity experts would appreciate this. We're in the league's legal tampering window, where we can go out there and negotiate folks who are going to be in free agency soon. So I know Patriots are making some moves. They're looking for, obviously, O-line, right? But there's some big news out there. You know, I mean, Josh Allen got a pretty big deal. I don't know if you've seen the deal that he just got.
So did Myles Garrett with the Browns. Yep. He decided to stay after they paid him a bunch of money. So
absolutely. So this is the moneymaker time right here.
Yep, sure is. Also joining me for this interview segment, not a football fan, Mr. Ben Carr. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Matt.
Now you a caveat, Ben.
Well, I know, he just like throws it out there. Like, look, my father-in-law, big football guy. My wife loves some football, but me, no, just not so much. I'm more in the CISO free agency, right? Like that's, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that here today. So yeah.
Oh yeah, second segment. We got some articles for you, Ben.
Don't worry. I saw the article, so yeah.
Yep. All right, one quick announcement, and then we'll get into this. Security Weekly listeners save $100 on their RSA Conference 2025 full conference pass. RSA Conference will take place April 28th to May 1st in San Francisco and on demand. To register using our discount code, please visit securityweekly.com/RSAC25 and use the code 5U5SecWeekly. I'll be there. We hope to see you there. Noam Krasniansky has been an entrepreneur all his life, from selling orange juice as a kid in Costa Rica to pitching in the malls in England as a teenager to selling on TV shopping channels and having a multi-million-dollar company with award-winning products. He's done it all and then some. Building a company from an idea to having an actual physical product sold in stores was his passion. He has done it successfully many times, but he hasn't achieved everything he has set out to accomplish yet. Now he wants to bring his business acumen into the world of NFTs and blockchain. Noam, welcome to Business Security Weekly.
Thank you. It feels like a radio show, you three guys. It's good.
Kind of, but we do it with video. See, I have a face. I have a face for radio, Noam, which is why we do the
you have
podcast.
A good face. I've seen really bad faces, but it's not about the face. You know that. It's about the personality. You can be the ugliest guy. I learned that when I was a kid. You can be the ugliest guy in the classroom, but if you have a great personality, the pretty girls always gravitate to you.
The great tip. So this is a unique interview segment for us because it was a very interesting topic that came in. You and I did a prep call on this. And what I thought was just really interesting is how can we use blockchain to actually help protect brand, intellectual property, et cetera. And you have a great story. You did the Futures podcast. It's linked in the show notes. It's a great segment on kind of like the backstory, your backstory in blockchain and some of the things you did. I don't want to go there because we only have 30 minutes instead of an hour. Where I want to start is around the problem of counterfeiting and why it's such a big deal and how blockchain can ultimately help us solve some of the counterfeiting issues that you've seen.
Okay, so first of all, a great idea to get people to see the Futures podcast, because if there's some things you don't know about blockchain, it all seems like vague. And even if you're a specialist and you're in the top layer of leadership for security, there are certain things that make no sense. You should listen to it because it will even out the field in all the terminology. Okay. Number two, blockchain has taken a really bad name because of rug pulls and because of NFTs and because of lots of people coming and grifting and stealing money, right? Because it's sort of like the Wild West, like when the Wild West opened and everybody went there and eventually settled, and now it's one of the most gross per capita. It's incredible compared when it used to be the Wild West. So blockchain started with Bitcoin. Everybody knows about Bitcoin. The purpose of blockchain was to just transfer value between people without having a central bank system, monetary, different monies from different countries, taking 7 days, needing to know everything about you, including your blood type, basically, and being so slow in changing hands. The purpose of Bitcoin was to have just a wallet anywhere in the world. You have a wallet, you send some stuff, takes minutes, nobody's involved, nobody has to know, and it's all private, right? So that changed from that point to today to being a centralized money, basically, money of value. Although it wasn't designed for that, people started hoarding it because it kept going up in value because the people doing, stock exchange moves, treating it like a stock, going up and up and up. So you don't want to sell it, you don't want to use it because now it's worth like 80,000, 100,000, might go to 250,000. That's what everybody thinks. So the purpose of blockchain got subverted. The idea of blockchain was to subvert the decentralization, and you will see that on the Futures podcast. But this segment should be about security, and that's what we discussed. And because I come from a background of product, you forgot to mention, I always was on Shark Tank, and I made a deal with one of the sharks. You can look me up in Bambui Shark Tank. It's quite an exciting show. I made everybody laugh, and we made a really good deal. But what happens is that today we live in a war, business. You ever heard of the expression "business is war"? Right? It comes from the preface before The Art of War from Sun Tzu, written like 2,000 or 5,000 years ago about strategy, about war. Business believe business is war, and they attack each other, right? And one of the biggest, and this is the elephant in the room, businesses create and they spend billions of dollars of research and development on creating products, whether it's a physical product, whether it's IT product, whether it's any type of product. And then countries that start with a C, CH, right? I ends with A. I'm not going to say the country,
INA.
right? They come and they have it in their law that if they ask one of their nationals to steal intellectual property, they can go to jail if they don't. Right? They actually have it in there. So we have a situation where America has given away their productivity outside, and those guys need to let's call it what it is. China, they have to own 51% of the company, and they end up owning intellectual property. They doing clones of the company, stealing all the property, and you have to innovate or you die. Right? And enough is enough, right? I had that happen with simple products like Bambui, which is a washable bamboo paper towel, and with different products where I had companies in the US that will copy me, and I have factories in China which will copy me, and they will talk to each other, and I'm the creator, I'm the one that owns the intellectual property, and suddenly I'm worth zilch. But I'm the one that came up with the idea, right? And spend the money developing it. So After this happened several times, I said enough is enough. And I wanted to make a product that was uncopyable, right? How can I make a product that I can safeguard in a way that the customer will return and buy again and be unique and not be copied, right? Because that's really the issue. Today, many companies have gone into the paradigm of having memberships, right? They pay a month and that's how they keep their customers. That's sort of a way. But ideally, how do you protect your intellectual property, whether they are products or whether they are services or whatever it may be, or programs? And I developed intellectual property with I created characters. I'll show you really quickly. We created different characters because I found out that intellectual property is more protectable than patents. I jumped the line there. I also made a patent for some gross products like hair ties. I had 5 patents, and then I got sued by big companies because they didn't want to pay. So now you do patents, and all you end up spending is time fighting. And the purpose is to grow as a company. So after I did this hair ties, I created intellectual property. I have over 120 something characters, which I made it into a collectible game. And then and that's when I delved into the world of blockchain, because blockchain, basically what it is a ledger that it's distributed over many nodes or computers that are connected together, and it's transparent. You can see the transactions there, so nobody can lie, and it has to be verified before you say what something is. Example, I sell to you, Matthew, I sell to you, let's say, a Maserati, right? And then you have that Maserati and you sell it to Jason and you put it on the blockchain, and then because it's on the blockchain, you cannot say, you know what, I have a Maserati, still have a Maserati, although you already sold it, and sell it to Ben. How can you do that? Well, if the blockchain didn't exist and the transaction didn't show, and that's what banks do sometimes, right? You could double sell it or you could triple sell it. But the blockchain allows that once a transaction is there, you can verify if the Maserati was sold already. So the second transaction of you selling to Ben will be null. The same verification process will not allow you to do that transaction. That's basically what blockchain does, okay? So you can use this idea. So a company, any company, can go on the blockchain, like my Komposite Blockchain. The purpose is to onboard Web 2 companies. How? They hit their own node, verifying node. They put all the products with a tag, with a security tag, and they release the products within the network. They put a simple thing like I did with like a QR code that represents, like, let's say, and in this case, to make it simple, like an NFT on the blockchain, which is basically, it only means it's a serial number that everybody knows that belongs to that object, and then they can track who bought it, who sold it, and that simple idea allows that company to have control of their whole product distribution. And when a customer, let's say it's Louis Vuitton or Gucci or whatever, wants to resell it because they are the verifying node, they can actually, the Gucci could have a secondary market which will allow them to verify products that people want to buy. They become sort of like the intermediary that is sort of like a fiduciary, like an escrow company, right? Mm-hmm. And they verify the node. They verify the product, they get the money, and then they distribute it, right? And they get a percentage. On the blockchain, you can put on the contract, because it's through contracts that you do it, that they get, let's say, 25% royalty in every transaction after. So they actually own the transactional process, and they can get paid of that product exchanging hands again and again and again. They protect the product, and the customers can verify that it's authentic. Now, imagine now that you have, and that's sort of like a private network, but it is within a public network, which is open. So these companies need a lot of processing power. So anybody, any individual from Norway, I was talking to someone from Norway today, or anywhere in Korea, Japan, or here in the United States, when establish it, could have nodes. They can put any of their computer, the phone, the apps, not the apps, their screens, what are they called? The tablets, and add computational power in a node, because the node doesn't have to be a supercomputer, and they participate on on the decentralized economy, they get coins, right? And they will make up the biggest decentralized computer in the world. Our first target is 3 million nodes, and will allow for a decentralized computer to fractionalize their computer power for different uses. Does that make sense? So now blockchain, which was designed to become like a financial tool that doesn't back anything, that does just calculations, we won't go into that, and then they create a coin and everybody wants it and it goes up in price, that doesn't really have a utility except value, I guess, value that is not controlled by a central bank. Now you can use the system to actually be utilitarian. And by having so many nodes, it will become the biggest blockchain in the world. And in de facto will become a decentralized economy. Because imagine if you have a supermarket chain that has a node and people are working and collecting tokens, right? And then they can go with their tokens and go to the supermarket and buy something. The idea is that it's so decentralized, will become, and we have so many companies that want to be on Web3 and will have an actual utility that will create sort of like an underlying economy. Now, what's important as well is that the transactions won't be so expensive because we change the way that the blockchain works very quickly, and this only takes a minute. Blockchains today, doesn't matter how many nodes you have, right? Like Bitcoin produces only one block of transactions. All of the nodes, 65,000 nodes, compete against each other to make one node. That's why they talk about wastage of energy, right? One node, and he wins at, let's say, half a coin, right? Which is good, bad, or whatever, right? And that's how they get paid. Now, Ethereum was the second one that did it like Bitcoin the same way. Then they changed, and now they have 64 lanes, so they can create 64. It's also limited. It's not designed for all the transactions that can happen in the real world, right? In any company. Our blockchain, how it changes, instead of competing against each other, the nodes work cooperatively together, right? They create subgroups within the transactions, right? And there's an extra node before, which is called a clerk node that does pre-transactions, creates pre-blocks, and through a chaotic node algorithm, I had to think about it. Chaotic node algorithm. The nodes will be put in subgroups that are working cooperatively, but they didn't know two seconds ago they were working together. So it's very secure, and each of those groups will actually work on a node, on a block. So you can actually do one block one time. You can do 56. You can do 120. And as more computers add to the network, you'll be able to exponentially do more transactions per cycle. And by that way, and that way, you don't lose security. Now, this is an important factor. If a network, somebody controls over 51% of the network, of the blockchain network, nobody really talks very much about it, the security goes down because somebody can control it and change transactions. But by doing the way that having a chaotic node algorithm, nobody can actually be prepared for what's going to happen seconds ahead. Does that make sense? Or microseconds. And you'll be able to produce more at a lower price. Everybody wins because everybody gets paid, and companies can actually come into this environment, and the transaction capability could go into the trillions. So this is a point of divergence where now blockchain at the beginning was a point of divergence, Web 2, Web 3, separation. Now we're creating a bridge between Web 3 and Web 2, and it's a separation of the actual blockchain world, or Web 3, what they call, in which we want to include everybody, because that's the problem of blockchain today. It's onboarding. How do we onboard everybody into something that is just something for finances and only nerds that are into this understands, right? Everybody should be involved, and when that happens, the world changes.
So many questions. I'll let my co-host get in for a second, but one of the big challenges that you touched on, but I wanted to kind of make it more front and center, is the expense of mining in the traditional blockchains, right?
Yeah.
Bitcoin miners, the more capacity on the network, the higher the cost, the harder it gets. It gets very, very expensive, right?
Yeah.
And that's why you see most of the miners in China, because they have lower electricity costs, that are trying to generate as many blocks and grab as much Bitcoin as they can. The normal lay person can't participate in that. It's just too cost prohibitive, right?
No, for example, somebody will go near a power station because they cannot use all the power, and they will set up something like a 200,000, 300,000 container where they will have these very advanced processors where they will buy cheaply the electricity because there's a correlation in how cheap the electricity is to the computational power. Yes, you are correct.
Right. What I believe you've designed is a blockchain network that allows the normal layperson to participate at a much lower entry point and also provide value from an intellectual property perspective, which is the ability to authenticate goods and services and keep a ledger for those, so that you reduce, for the business, it's reduction of counterfeiting, but for the buyer, it's authenticity of the product, right?
100%. Because you can have, like, I have a wife that likes Louis Vuittons, right? And you can go to the corner in any country in the world, and in a market, and you will see somebody selling a fake Louis Vuitton. And there is a customer base for that, but a person that doesn't want to do that, there's one about a real one, but maybe a second-hand one. Cannot verify. If she goes to eBay and finds one that is more expensive than maybe secondhand, there's no way of knowing until she buys it and takes it to the store, and then they look at her like she's a criminal and say this is a fake, right? So that is yes.
Co-host, I'm going to let you get in here because I can keep going.
Yeah, I mean, from our perspective on the show, we talk a lot about that. Kind of that center point of where, cybersecurity and then regulatory, legal, and compliance meet, right? So in these scenarios where I'm a business owner, I want to put my intellectual property in the hands of someone who's claiming they're going to protect it, knowing that our legal and regulatory systems in many times fall way behind where we are from a technology perspective.
Yes.
Is there legal precedent these days? Have we caught up when it comes to regulation and our laws to be able to say that, if I work with your organization, I want to protect my intellectual property, but then some type of a lawsuit comes up. Is there legal ramification or precedence to take the information from your platform and submit it to be able to prove, to be able to show some level of evidence to support me?
Well, that would be new, and yes, you could, because the blockchain is an immutable way of saying in this date this happened. But what happens is someone else had it outside the blockchain, and somebody that is not the original brings it to the blockchain. So it can go both ways. Now, I've been to China many times, and I went to their office of patent, and they have a patent office as well, the same as the US, right? There are different international agreements and this and the other. But what you have to understand, that what the law says and what happens are two different things, right? So you have to understand that who has wholesale created counterfeiting is the country we've been discussing. I'm not going to repeat the name, okay? But so it's in a wholesale level. They don't spend on an R&D. They spend on spyware, because you can have a product, and I'll give you a perfect example that is completely real. Do you know that sponge that is made of melamine, the Mr. Eraser? You know that white sponge? Okay, I knew about that sponge 20 years ago because I had a Korean customer that brought them to me, and he says, I can buy this for 10 cents and I can sell them for, these are amazing. They come from Korea. Anyway, it evolved over time. It changed into a gray color. Now they're gray color. And then you see them, and the next thing you know, you see them as Mr. Eraser in the stores where Procter & Gamble has them. Well, that sponge originally was made in Germany by Bach or whatever they're called, and they had them as a smoke. They were so dense that fire couldn't go through. So they were using construction, right? The foam for construction, but somebody found that they are great for cleaning, right? So they cut them in little pieces. You have a big bun for construction. They're cheap. They cost cents in the dollar. They sell it for that. The Koreans went crazy buying buns. Then the German factory figured that out, and they said, no, you cannot do that for cleaning. This is only buy for construction. Now the constructions are gray. It doesn't mean it doesn't work any different, but they color code them, and they gave the permits or the licensing to Procter and Gamble or Johnson and Johnson. I don't remember which company. Please don't take me, but one of those big companies. And they started selling it. Now, China at the time tried to copy it. It was full of holes. It wasn't even. It will break down too quickly. It just was a piece of crap product, okay? Years passed, I think 3, 4, 5 years, and suddenly from China comes the exact same sponge. Exactly, perfect. Now, how did in 2 or 3 years could they, with no background on that, develop the perfect sponge the Germans have been developing for 20 years? I'm asking you, Jason, how did they do that? I can tell you only one. The only reason that comes to conclusion is industrial espionage. So what they do is they send all these students that go out, right? Then they go into internships. People take them for their word, and it has happened for many cases. They do love affairs, they do stealing, they do whatever they do, right? They put spyware on computers, whatever the case may be, and they take that data and then they consider this a matter of national strength. They find a factory that has that, and they give them that thing and they say, here's the research and development. Okay, and then they suddenly can compete with the world at 1/3, 1/4 of the price. They take over the market, they raise the price, etc., etc. For them, it makes sense, right? Because they have 1.4 billion people to feed, and they think that they cannot compete with the outside world unless they steal. But you know what? Enough is enough. Enough is enough, because you spend billions of dollars in research and development. You spend your life savings or whatever following an idea that was yours. You make it come to fruition from your mind into the physicality. You do all the patents and all the intellectual property, everything that you need. Not only the other companies in the West are going to attack you, but they steal your intellectual property. So what have many companies done? Many companies have invested now in the customer. Now think about this. They changed the paradigm, and that's why a QVC and HSN now is losing to TikTok. I'll explain why. Because they need to have a customer that comes back and they're married to them, right? So if you have and with blockchain, you can do that. Once you have a node on the network and you put this tag, which is a security tag. I forgot to tell you that I spent 2 years studying how money is made. I could make a bill now if I wanted to. Not that I want to, okay? Because it's still fiat, but you can put it in any product that you have within the network. And then when you sell it to a customer, you not only have control of that product and the authenticity of that product, but you also gain a customer base because they have to have an app to show their certificate of authenticity, and also that also works as a digital item they can use as in the avatar, for example. So it gives them dual thing. And now the customer is married to the company, right? And is married into anybody that wants to buy into it. So it has a double-edged sword. And at that point, if somebody copies that tag, and in China does 5,000 of those, and somebody has it in an app, okay, let's exchange it. They have it in an app, and somebody says, oh, I have this. Oh, let me see it. I sell it to you. And they click the QR code that is linked to the blockchain, let's say, file, and it says, oh, this is supposed to be in California, and telling something, but your name is Chao Ching or whatever, right? So at that moment, you know that is counterfeited, and it has no value for you to buy it because it won't even transfer. Does that make sense? You can only buy it as a counterfeit, and you destroy the illusion of buying something expensive that is expensive because you know it's a piece of crap. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So in actual fact, you are defending and you are putting a barrier, and everybody knows about it now, and you actually can find a stop to the 1.8 trillion, I repeat, 1.8 trillion-dollar business on counterfeiting a year, okay? It's in 1 year, just so you know. It happens everywhere. Pharmaceuticals, glasses, even organs, IDs, physical products, anything, anything that you can imagine, even on phones. There's counterfeit inside the products that have phones, okay? So I hope that answers your question. You still will get copied. You still can sue people, but we are working on in the blockchain where it's called Corpus Veritatis, is Latin for the body of truth, where whoever creates contracts or creates things there, they have to follow certain standards. We believe in the truth. We believe on freedom, and we believe that everybody has the right to do well, right? And that their creations have the right to benefit from it, and some Chinese or Indian or whatever company. It happens also in the US. US people also copy, and comes and copies you and sells that is the same when it's not. And that alone will permit innovation. Because when you can innovate and you can benefit from innovation, more people will innovate.
Noam, if companies are interested to learn more of how they can use Composite, where should they go to learn more?
Okay, well, we are looking to associate ourselves with the first companies that want to be part of Composite. We created Komposite Blockchain, which is in Composite with a K. It sounds German because that was the word that was available. With a K, Composite, or Composite, some people say different, .org. That's our website, okay? We're looking for partners, companies that would like to be part of this. We are creating, we're brand new. This is taking about 2 years of development. We finished the white paper on December of last year. It's an amazing white paper for people that understand. They will see that it's very powerful and very solid, and the growth will be exponential. And we are going to create a composite servicing company to create the programming for someone to have a node, which first will operate outside the network until it gets built, and it will operate, and it will be sort of a beta version or alpha version. And when the blockchain comes, we will insert them. They will be one of the first companies to be there, right? So we can actually develop today, right now, these ideas as an app, and then that it will go as a node on the network. Number 3. And we're looking for companies. The first companies are going to do the most bank, because it's not cheap to develop these things. We're looking a few $1 million to develop that. But what we are willing to do, those companies that come at the beginning, we will give them the same amount of money that they invest on the program, on tokens once they get into the network. So basically, it will cost them nothing. Right? You understand? That's what we're going to do.
Yep.
We'll give them a thing called a SAFT, a simple agreement for tokens. And then when the network gets established, they will get that amount of tokens on the monetary that they spent on developing, and they will be able to use that for expansion, etc. So it'll be a great experiment. Secondly, we're looking for VCs. We're looking for VCs, for big institutional investors, people that like to get at the beginning of something. I mean, if we all bought, like I had an electrician fixing one of my warehouses, and he said that he used to own 10,000 Bitcoin. Now, will we be all doing what we're doing? We have 10,000 Bitcoin? Maybe not. Maybe we'll be in Bora Bora. Who knows, right? So this is a great opportunity to come at the onset of a great idea that will be adopted. And we're looking for VCs and institutional investors to come, and we cannot give them tokens as of such. We'll give them SAFTs, S-A-F-T. And we're looking right now with the administration to see what's the best way to put this here in the United States. We want to make the foundation. This is going to be a foundation. This is not a for-profit organization. We want to do the foundation in the United States, because any products that are blockchains done in the United States pays no capital gain taxes. So if you buy something for, I don't know, whatever, $1, 10 cents, 20 cents, $2, and it goes to $20, there will be no capital gain taxes for anybody that gets involved in this. And this is really important to understand. The people that go in first are the ones that help this grow, but at the same time is beneficial for them. They would probably get native tokens, right? Because we intend to have a token that is par to the dollar. They're called, you know what I'm talking about. What they were
stable
talking.
coins.
Stable coins, exactly. Thank you. I was just testing if you knew. No. And we do have, a chart just shows what the big investors will come, and then the medium size, and then for community, right? We're going to release a finite amount, right, to start, and then in each transaction we intend to also produce some and burn some, because you have to create an economy that doesn't inflate or deflate. It's a whole bunch of things. Ideally, what I didn't mention is that there's going to be a node for the users. There won't be wallets. So anybody that wants to interact with this will have a direct interaction with the network as a user. They'll have to put some tokens, they call staking, which it makes you committed to the network, but we intend to use that so they can use it to do payments between each other, between other nodes, and it will really become a decentralized economy. So that's where we're at. We want to be American. That's what we're looking at. We were going to do Switzerland before Trump got into power, but we think that these 4 years is the golden age of really crypto, and it will be the new layer, and it will take over every other blockchain. Just think about it. 65,000 nodes in Bitcoin, 6,200 nodes in Ethereum. Solana derivatives is an amazing. It has only a handful of nodes in somebody's basement somewhere. It is not really decentralized. And yeah. We also have if you want to read the white paper, we have it in our website. If you want the complete white paper with all the mathematics and the algorithms, you have to sign an NDA. Just send me an email, noam@composite.org. And we're looking for partners. We're looking for developers, because we have a stash fund for developers, huge fund. We are looking for VCs, and we're looking for people that want to have nodes. And fourthly, we want companies to become the companies within the nodes that will have companies that will have their own network, and that came because of bees. So we copied a nature's program like bees, because a bee colony has two networks. It has the worker bees, right? They operate all doing jobs and doing things, and within that you have the queen bee with her mates that they produce eggs, right? And they both feed on each other, and they're interdependent on each other, and you have colonies of bees all over the world that work synergetically. So that's how we took our idea from. So it's very powerful. It's very powerful. I hope that answers what you were asking. I went a little long-winded, maybe.
Yes, we're fine. Noam, thank you so much for joining us on Business Security Weekly. I could go forever on this topic, but we got to get to our next segment.
Yes.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and then cover the leadership and communications articles for this week.
And just so you have this, thank you for listening to me. I think security is one of the most important factors in any company, and this will be a great addition because it will be able to protect people from issues from AI, which we didn't discuss. Okay, and they will have control all of the products, including identity on images. So, and that's really another topic for another thing. But thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.